color, especially. I'm like doing two different projects where I'm focusing one just on color. It's a big thing I'm trying to get more into.
I can help you with the color if you want.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'm using DaVinci Resolve.
Hi guys.
Hey Mark. Hey,
Hi everyone. So
Right,
we're
jumping in.
it's now our
Why don't you write me an email and let's talk some more.
hi guys.
Great. Sounds good.
So welcome to the table. Welcome to Mr. Sci-Fi. It is our evening of thrills and adventure. So so it's good to see everyone. And David, there's after this you and I should talk. I just got a very, 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 very interesting phone call, which will make you groan probably, but also might be very exciting. So yeah. And Dave, it's something that you won't have to do anything about. Isn't that lovely? Yeah. So
I will.
but it was a very, 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 very interesting phone call. So okay. So hi guys. Well, I guess you were talking, Savvy J. So why don't we start with you? How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. I hopped on a little early, which I'm never early for anything except for work, so that felt good.
Great.
I've been very good. I've been balancing doing work stuff as well as doing fun stuff.
Great.
So that's been really nice in my life lately. Right now, I'm doing two different projects. One that we're still just a picture lock that I've been editing. I'm moving on to color, and then another project that someone else is doing editing, and then move on to color. So I want to start focusing more on color. That's something I really want to start doing more of, and I'm doing that on DaVinci Resolve, kind of teaching myself. I took some classes about the basics, but I want to get more into color. So,
great.
Normal work stuff. And the two projects, one of which is a comedy and the other which is a horror, so it feels good to be working on two different things. Work, generally speaking, has been pretty normal. I'm just itching to do more stuff. So I guess my ask is I need to probably slow down and ask on more projects, but I'd love to hear if anyone's doing a project where they're looking in post or need someone to help on a Sunday, because usually Saturdays are bad for me, but like on some kind of Sunday, I can pop in and, be a helping hand on some good stuff.
Great.
That's generally been generally my day.
Great. Well, terrific. So, David basically said yes. He raised his hand. So, yeah. So great. Anything else you need?
I don't know who wants to go next, but I would like to shout out my friend Kevin, who I recommended the table to. He's a fantastic filmmaker, editor. I mean, he does everything. He wants to hop on sets constantly and just works for the love of it, as well as like working. He's great, and he was super happy. He reminded me to like send out the info. I was like, oh yeah, you have to hop on. These people are awesome. So
Great.
That is my
two Kevins on right now.
There's two Kevins.
Kevin, well, hello, Kevin might be, but I'm talking about
Kevin Keeling. Great. Okay, well, we'll take a Mr. Sci-Fi question now. For those who are new to the table tonight, we have a simulcast with my Mr. Sci-Fi YouTube channel, and we ask people to have their mics muted until it's their turn. And so Adam, is there a Mr. Sci-Fi question yet?
There is actually.
Great.
We have a question from Fit to Be Read.
Hi.
Who asks, any movie or show adaptation you've watched where the actor that was cast matched close to how you pictured the character in your head from the book?
That's really interesting. Well, I mean, the thing that came immediately to mind, of course, was The Big Sleep with Humphrey Bogart playing Philip Marlowe. That's a great match. But in terms of recent stuff, gosh, that's a tough one. Nothing comes to mind immediately. It's I usually don't think about specificity of the physical when it comes to casting, because you can be surprised that if you have a brunette in mind, it might be a blonde or something. But one rule, by the way, it's something that used to drive me absolutely crazy, is when you're writing a novel, never in the middle of the book mention the main character has a mustache. Because you've been reading the book, you've been envisioning them however they look, and then suddenly it's a mustache. And it's like, no. So there you go. But one thing I did want to mention is behind me on the table, you can see a new spacesuit that I've set up on the mannequin without a space helmet. That was actually used in a Twilight Zone episode called Death Ship, starring Jack Klugman and Ross Martin. It's very rare to find original Twilight Zone stuff. It's a terrific hour-long episode by Richard Matheson, and it was originally made for a 1959 CBS television show called Men into Space that starred William Lundigan, and later it was used in The Outer Limits on a number of episodes. So pretty cool thing. And I'll show that to the Mr. Sci-Fi fans as well. There it is. So there's the yellow spacesuits from Outland. The one behind that is the Tholian Webb spacesuit we used in the Star Trek episode with George Takei, and Takei, sorry, and then there's the Death Ship spacesuit. So pretty cool. So okay, so why don't we do Kevin Keeling, since we heard a shout out. If you want to introduce yourself, Kevin, go for it.
Everything. My name is Kevin Keeling, and I work primarily as an assistant director. Like Shabby said, I have done some editing work and I've done some stuff on sets, but my main focus is assistant directing. I'm always on the lookout to help sets run a little smoother and to make sure that everybody gets at least a 12-hour turnaround, especially during the vote on the strike coming up. I want to make sure that everything works
Cool. Great. So is there anything you need?
No, I'm just always looking for projects that I can help out on. So right now I'm not in need of anything, but I'm always there to help anybody else.
Cool. And are you here in Los Angeles, or where are you located?
Yes, I'm in Los Angeles. I'm just outside of Koreatown.
Oh, great, terrific. And just to let you know, if Jay didn't mention it, the table is made up of thousands of members. We have people all over the country, all around the world, in fact, and we've been going for 28 years. So David Bartlett can hook you up on the email, where you can send one email out to all several thousand members. It's a very powerful tool. So great.
But it's wonderful to have help on the set. And anyone who is available for help on the set, please put it in the chat.
Yes.
And mention it on the email, because there's never enough helping hands.
Well, also remember that the way to advance your career, it's never about your need, it's about the needs of others. And if you're serving their needs, things can go very, very well. And so, for instance, the way I learned, the way I got Guillermo del Toro as a mentor was because I wrote a book with him, and that served his need, not mine. And so, etc. So anything else, Kevin?
No, I also just want to thank the table, because the last project that I worked on, a producer had posted on the table, and a friend of mine thought of me, and I wound up working that project pretty much 2 days later.
That's great.
Wow.
Well, 3 cheers. Welcome. Yay.
What's the big goal? What's the big goal?
What's your big goal?
My big 3 are: I want to assistant direct, produce, and direct.
Great.
Okay.
Terrific. And is there a kind of material you gravitate toward?
Nothing in particular. I've worked mainly thriller and horror.
Oh, cool.
But that's more accidental than me seeing it out specifically.
Yeah. I mean, it becomes horror. It becomes horror when you accidentally let loose the chainsaw and it decapitates someone. So so it might start out a comedy, ends up a drama. So okay, cool. So anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yay! 3 cheers. So do we have another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
Yes, our next question is a Scott Baker question.
Scott?
He asks, he says, watching your video on the proposed Babylon 5 reboot, he couldn't help but think that you have some worries and concerns about it. How can they avoid making your worries and concerns manifest?
It's not so much that I have worries and concerns. It's that any project, it's a miracle if it turns out well, because there's so many moving parts. And particularly with Babylon 5, it originally aired on P10, which was a proto network the Warner Brothers was trying to create. And so Warner Brothers didn't own it. So they didn't have a huge say. I mean, Joe Straczynski and the rest of the team, they found a warehouse in the northern part of the valley, and they pretty much had autonomy, more or less, for the run of the show. Joe used to joke that the Warner executives never came on set because there were no good restaurants nearby. And but the thing was, because Warner's didn't own it, it was always a little bit at arm's reach. Now, of course, with it airing on the CW, and I presume that the new show will be owned by Warner's, if they want to fire Joe Straczynski, if they want to do whatever they're going to do, that's what they'll do. Additionally, it's very hard to have a second act work. In terms of, you had the hit with the first show. Will a second show be successful? Crusade wasn't. That was the follow-up show to Babylon 5. We'll see if this is. But I think that it's really good for Joe to take a run at it. And I think that, whether it's a reboot or a direct sequel, and in this case it is a reboot, it all becomes, the quality of the writing, the quality of production, the budget, the cast, all of those variables. But certainly Joe will be putting his heart and soul into it, because that's how he rolls. And so I'm rooting for it. And and any hesitancies I might have aren't because of the project or Joe. It's about just, it's always very difficult to make anything work. But I think it has a very, very good shot. And so we'll see what happens. Okay, let's see. Adam, do you want to take your turn?
Yeah, I can do that. Hi, everybody. I am Adam Sartain. I am an actor, a voice actor with 78 different voices, accents, and impressions. Mm-hmm. And I am also an associate producer on Space Command.
Cheers.
And if you notice, I am wearing my Space Command Studios official shirt.
Yeah.
That's great.
Which is proof that we are mailing out perks to the backers.
Great. I'm glad.
Yes. So I've got my little Space Command pin here. So
cool.
I just had a big day at the studio where we got a ton of perks ready to ship out.
Oh, great.
Yes.
So very excited about getting those out. And so that's the Space Command end of things.
Very cool.
David Bartlett will tell you much more about that, I'm sure.
Neat.
As far as other stuff, I had a bit of a scare last weekend. I started work at the, literally and figuratively, at the Los Angeles Haunted Hayride as a scare actor. But what I didn't realize or remember was that I was in a car accident a few weeks, about a month and a half ago. And that did a few things to my back. And so while I didn't have any broken bones, there was a lot, there was some damage there.
Yes.
And standing for a long period of time with a, at least a 5-pound mask on, took its toll, and I started having major back problems.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And so I went to the chiropractor this week, and they said no standing and no walking for long periods of time.
Well, there you go.
And I took it back to which I was worried is like, well, you can't work then at the hayride. But they like me so much that they're going to give me a chair. They're going to work a chair into my
That's great.
thing.
That's
so
fun. That's fun.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, and again, this speaks to, how there's so many possibilities. We must.
Right.
It's very important for all of us not to catastrophize. Mark Twain has a great quote. He says, "There are many tragedies that happened in my life, some of which were real."
Yeah, it's true. It's so true.
Yeah.
But just so you know, backs respond really well to physical therapy.
Yes.
So just a few exercises can, because backs aren't well made, right? So there's a lot of people who specialize in back pain, and Mark has had used to have
Share. Yeah.
Yeah, but then
I do exercises. I'm fine.
And it went away. I mean, he had bad pain.
Do you know of any particular exercises that help, like stretches or?
Yes, I do. But in your case, because you had an injury, that would be where you'd probably ask for a referral to a physical therapist. And the way it would work is they would just give you things to do, and you wouldn't have to go more than once or twice to them.
They talk to you about your injury, and they walk you through it, and they basically feel you out, how your body's working.
It's extremely probable that your chiropractor will have a good physical therapist that he deals with, because for obvious reasons, so yeah.
I'll
I'll second back to health, by the way. I've been there, and they are really fantastic.
Great.
Okay.
Great. Terrific.
Very good.
So go on, Adam. Beyond that, anything else?
Beyond that, I actually have to turn down background work. So that's a good thing that I have to turn down work,
Yes. Well, yeah. And no, but I think this past year, despite COVID, that you've had such wonderful possibilities like Shrek and so forth.
Absolutely,
I think
and
you're
the
on
Hell
a roll.
California stuff, and
I think you're on a roll. I think the upcoming year is going to be very, very good for you. So
absolutely.
From my
And I don't know if I mentioned it yet, but I was in oh gosh, what was that magazine?
Back Pain Monthly?
No. Gosh, it was called. I have it right here.
Okay. GQ?
No, not GQ. It's a very small,
cuticle,
very, very, very tiny little thing that oh wait, I have it on my Instagram. Which, if you guys don't follow me, my Instagram is Super Adam, SOOPER Adam. I'll put it in the chat.
That's fun.
And Shout Out LA. That's what it was called.
Great. Wow, that's great.
I was in Shout Out LA, where they did an article about taking risks.
Wow.
And I plugged the table in it.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Great.
That's one of the things that got me through all this. So definitely glad to be a part of this great organization.
Great. Well, thank you, Adam. Yay.
Yeah.
3 cheers. Excellent. Is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Let's go to our next Mr. Sci-Fi question, which is from Dave Hebert.
Yes.
Hebert. There was no R, or only one R. He says, Mark, how about a writing contest for your fans, and the winner could eventually write an episode on one of your shows? This would get the kids involved and possibly start a career for someone.
It's a good idea. We don't have enough up and running yet. I'm reticent to offer that simply because right now in Space Command, we're sort of, Elaine and I are the writers, and with Sweet Haven so far, it's Rockney O'Bannon and Elaine and me. But as we get up and running, that might be very, very fun. So it's a good suggestion. So
put on the back burner for
There is a tremendous amount of talent out there. We discover all the time.
Yes, we do, and it's that's a great idea. So cool.
Great.
So let's see. So Dave Edison, you're next on my screen. You want to do your thing?
Sure. Hi everyone. Dave Edison here, editor of Space Command, and many other things. Recent, about 7 hours ago, owner of 32 teeth, now down to 31.
Gosh,
had a wisdom tooth removed today. It's right over here.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God.
And so I'm a little bit sore right now, but went well. I'm looking off screen for those of you on the Zoom call. I'm working on a shot for Space Command. We're trying to get everything together for the 2-hour pilot release, the holiday season, and just adjusting a few of the green screen shots, trying to get the green screen to behave correctly. It's reflecting a little bit off of this costume, so it's so I've got to find a fine balance here. And I'm not an expert in this aspect, but give it a shot. Anyway, so we're moving along on that front, and let's see. We had a nice remembrance for our friend Michael Charles Lopez, who we lost about 10 days ago. Table member of many years, a great guy. Michael had some complications from his, he had a cancer of the liver and had some complications during surgery and didn't make it through. So the cancer didn't get him, but trying to cure him did. So anyways, we had a very nice Zoom call with about a dozen or so friends of Michael, and we all got to say nice things about him, which we fortunately also said to him in person.
Good.
So before he died. Anyway, we have I'm pleased to announce that earlier this year, Michael handed me the footage for a short film he had shot, and in my spare time, of which there's not much, I edited this project, a film called "You'll Be Okay," which was a short, about 18-minute drama with a transgender theme, which possibly is one of the reasons that it made it into the San Francisco Transgender Film Festival. I suppose the judging of that is coming up. Yes, coming up shortly. I think it'll be in November, and Michael would have been very pleased about that. So I guess that's about it for me. I'll be a little more healed next week, and as we dive into more Space Command things, a little more tired. So take care, stay with.
Great, yay! Thank you, Dave. Excellent. So great. Is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam? What? Is Adam? Have we lost Adam? Adam, are you frozen, or is that your living statue? We're not hearing you, Adam. So we will, I guess, continue on for the moment to Thane. Why don't we have Thane take his turn?
Don't forget.
What? Forget who?
Good evening. I guess it's evening. Anyway, I'm kind of baffled by this term "work." I hear it from several people, and it's not crossed my doorstep lately. But I keep myself very busy, the variety of creative projects, and I'm host on a talent show that we've done now for 18 months, once a month on Saturdays, and that's gone quite well. Originally, we were going to do it live, and COVID hit. Virtually the week we had our first show scheduled, so we pivoted to doing it online, and it's worked out pretty good. We've had people from the Caribbean, from Australia, from England, from a variety of places around the world. It's showtalentshow.com. You'll learn about it, sign up. We also have a Tuesday night networking event, which is the last Tuesday of the month. So those things have given me some opportunity to learn to be a producer and a host, and from time to time presenter. I shot a short film that I wrote, directed, and co-starred in, and I have to say mostly it was a learning exercise. There's a variety of faults that I now understand, but something we did in about 6 hours, from hey, do you have an idea about a script, to standing in front of the camera trying to remember the lines, and it was a lot of fun. And like I said, I learned a lot about what to do, what not to do, which I think is the biggest gain these days, is learning new things. So we keep on ambling on here. I had 3 auditions last week. I was hoping that at least 1 or 2 might come through, but there's always next week.
Yes.
And, keep on going.
Okay. Well, great. Well, good to see you, Thane, as always. Yay. So we don't have Adam's dropped off. So
you said a power surge in this building. I'll do it.
okay. So is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, David Bartlett?
I do. So, did you do the Village of the Damned question yet?
Nope.
Scott Baker says, in your view, was the film Children of the Damned a genuine sequel to Village of the Damned? Were the beings responsible for the Midwich children the same as those who created Caught D?
Well, the sequel was a sequel, but it's not as good as the original one, the black and white one, which is Village of the Damned, is based on the Midwich Cuckoos, a novel, a very good novel by John Wyndham. Interestingly enough, John Wyndham started writing a sequel to that and only got like about 100 pages in and then stopped. And the archive that has that manuscript has sent me a copy of it, and I haven't read it yet, but I would love to. So I just have to. It's a little bit light, so I have to kind of do some things to make it a little more readable. And it's handwritten; it's not typed. But he was one of the great British science fiction writers, an amazing, amazing writer. So let's see. So David, do you want to take your turn?
Sure. My name is David Bartlett. I'm a filmmaker, a teacher, a human rights activist, and producer of Space Command.
Yay.
Yay. I always love that. And there was much rejoicing. Yay. Now, on myself, we have 10 years old. I made my first film. I did more films in high school, and a play or two. And I then worked in movie theaters for 3 years as a manager and a projectionist, and I installed Dolby units, and I did some publicity on a couple things. And I was then moved to LA in 1980, and I started working on some really big movies as the intern to the director with a couple of very big directors, one of which was Robert Wise, who directed West Side Story and The Sound of Music and was the producer and won 4 Oscars. And he also edited a little movie called Citizen Kane, which I thought was, this is all way over my head at the time, which is probably best because I wasn't totally overwhelmed by him. And he was able to give me some advice at key moments, and it was really awesome. And so I started working at his suggestion on super low budget movies to learn how films are being made at Roger Corman Studios. And I worked with production designer Jim Cameron as a set carpenter. And those skills have served me very well in the last couple of months or year because I've been doing a lot of construction at the Space Command studio with a real similar budget, which is nothing in his case, or very small. Yeah. So in between there, I got on with a sound editing company, and my very first job was a miniseries called Space, which was executive produced by Dick Berg, who's a very famous showrunner at the time. They didn't even call them showrunners then; they were just executive producers. And we got Emmy nominations for that, so that was cool. So jump to a couple of months ago, I got another Emmy nomination for something I produced, so that was pretty fun. So I've been coming full circle a lot with different things in my career and what's been going on. Of course, if you stick it out long enough, you're bound to come full circle at least once. And mine, career is no exception. So I started working as a sound designer, and I worked on films like Pulp Fiction and Speed and Total Recall and Predator 2 and Tremors and all kinds of cool movies with awesome people that I worked with. I worked with an amazing array. In 1 year alone, I worked with Brian De Palma, Joel Silver, Paul Verhoeven, and the fourth one was William Friedkin. That was just in 1 year, and that was quite a year. So there's 4 of the craziest directors and producers ever, and I was they all liked me. In fact, Billy Friedkin gave me this watch when I finished. It's this lovely Tiffany watch that is inscribed, and he gave us watches because we survived the film without quitting or getting fired.
Good.
So that's what you did. If you were a mixer, you got a Rolex. And I was just the sound designer, so I got the much prized Tiffany watch in my case. So then I started working on independent films, and I now have 65 film festival awards. I think we just got another one recently.
Cool.
And I have 2 films going the rounds right now, so every week or so I hear about another festival that's been launched into it or whatever, and and that's fun for me too. So if you don't know anything about working on gigantic movies and teeny movies and winning awards, you could probably ask me. I probably have some advice here and there for it. So I have a story that I try to come up with new each time. I told this one once before, but not for a long time. It was something I went to a seminar with the late great Gary Shusett, who ran the Sherwood Oaks Experimental College, who was a good friend of the table and many of us here. He really got me started in a film school environment because I was taking classes from his school. I never went to film school or university. I went to 3 months of college, and that was it for me. And so Gary had this class, and it was called, there was a seminar with the famous movie star and filmmaker Warren Beatty. Warren Beatty had made a film, his first produced film, he did was called Bonnie and Clyde, which is a very famous movie. You guys should check it out if you want. It really holds up. And it was very advanced in certain ways. And he and the director, Arthur Penn, wanted to push the envelope really hard. They did things like, it was the first time that someone was shot in the face on camera. The guy inside the car as they're trying to escape. And this was almost got the film banned. And he fought to keep it in. And now it's like, this happens all the time now. But in those days, that was a big deal. At the end, when all the gunfire comes out of the bushes and riddles them with bullets, that was also threatened to be cut down. He said, no. So he was in post-production. He got the sound designer. He said, this is what I want. I love this movie, Shane. So Shane has these big gunshots that are bigger than life. They're like cannons. They're just huge gunshots. He goes, that's what I want for Bonnie and Clyde. I want violent, dangerous gunshots, not normal gunshots. He said, okay. So they mix the film. They go to a premiere in London. And by the way, the seminar, I almost buried the lead in this. The seminar is called The Projectionist is the Final Filmmaker in the Chain. Okay? And I'll tell you an adjunct story to that I just experienced 2 weeks ago to prove that it's true. He goes to this screening in London, and the sound is being played low. So he goes up on the booth, and the projectionist has got the monitor cranked all the way up, and to him it sounds loud. But he's like, what are you doing? The sound is low. He says, oh, this is, I'll put it up there. And this is one of the biggest movie stars in the world, okay? And the projectionist is like, well, I'll put it up there if you want, but I'll tell you something. I haven't seen a film that sounded this bad since Shane.
Well, that's good. That's good.
So that's a true story. And they brought the house down.
Yeah.
So now here I am with another table member, James Kinnear. We go to a film festival, and we're about an hour and a half, 2 hours early, which I strongly recommend. And they don't have our film. They're about to screen the film. The film is a feature. The film had 65 people in the audience that we had put there with a publicist that was being paid and people flowing in from as many as 5 different states and no film.
Wow.
So there's James with a solid state drive in his laptop with a little box that he bought for this purpose, putting the film into the projectionist computer to ingest it into the computer on the projector, and then to ingest it into the queue of the projector. It had to be ingested twice, 45 minutes each. So our screening was an hour late, but it almost didn't happen at all.
Wow.
And that film won the best film of the festival for faith-based films. So that's like how you avert the problems that you have with the projectionist being the final person on the chain, especially if they don't even have the film. Then you get ready for that and you bring it on a drive, you bring it on your laptop. And we had another experience with a short at another festival 3 weeks prior to that. The same thing happened. So we ingested it from a stick into the computer in the cinema. This is an Edwards cinema. And we played it from a flash drive.
Great.
At the festival. So
that's great.
There you go. Now, what is next? Space Command.
Yeah.
So Space Command has a studio, and the studio has all sorts of things going on inside of it, like building sets.
Yes.
And making lights appear on sets and building a grid in the ceiling, which is being remodeled a little bit. We got it really pretty good last time, and now we're going to get it really streamlined and get this like totally dialed in for filming. And then very near future, I'm filming something of my own in there one of these days. We're shooting more scenes from Space Command's episodes 3, mostly 3 and some 4, called Framing Stories, which are scenes that happen at the beginning and the ending of episodes. Is kind of like, like framing, but they're like the bookends kind of. And so we're going to shoot a bunch of those in our studio. And we need all sorts of help. I do, especially with crew of the shoots, and also especially building sets and getting things ready. If you think, I don't have any carpentry experience, don't worry. I can put you to work.
Yes.
I've got painting jobs that I can teach you how to do. I've got all sorts of things things you would never think. I had 2 volunteers for a while. They were both writers, and they had never used any power tools. They'd never been in a studio. They'd never been on a set. And they have a lot more experience at that now than they did before, and had a good time doing it. So contact me. My email, also good for the, I'm looking over this other screen here where I have the Mr. Sci-Fi.
Cool.
Dave Films, DAVEFILMS @hotmail.com. I'll put it in the chat here. And yeah, give me a call and let me know what's going on, and I'll see if I can get you hooked up. So then the third thing is the table email. I'm also in charge of the table emails right now. And to get on the table email, if you're not on the table email, or if you're having troubles, all you have to do is email me your email name, and your email name has to be your full first and last name. With numbers or symbols, it's fine, but it can't be MogiPie12, okay, which is a friend of mine's real email, by the way. Doesn't work. It's got to be Elaine Zickery 12725 or whatever, okay? Plus, the extension can't be Yahoo. Can't have Yahoo. Yahoo doesn't work. I don't know why. It's just not compatible. It's table non-compliant. So we have that as an opportunity for you to join the table and be on a team of about 2,000 people where you can interact with them, network with them, get to know people. You can put the word out that you want to help in certain ways. You can put the word out that you need help in certain ways. I put the word out all the time for Space Command. And every time I get one or two great people, and sometimes they work with us for years. So sometimes we actually have paid positions too. We have a couple of paid positions now, so you can check into that as well. Table email, there you go.
Great.
That's it.
Okay, yay, David Bartlett, ladies and gentlemen.
It appears we have
Adam is back.
Yay.
Yes. So, is there? I
I'm
guess
back.
we'll have Adam. Is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
Yes. You didn't. Have you read? Did you read one before? Because I wasn't on.
We read one about the Village of the Damned.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see.
Yeah.
Well, Fit to Be Read did ask, have you watched Galaxy Quest, and do you and how do you like it?
If he's referring to the movie, it's a movie I really love. I know
Yeah.
they're doing a Galaxy Quest TV show, but I haven't seen any of that. So
I'm assuming the movie. With
yeah,
Tim
the
Allen.
movie's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I sometimes tell people that my two favorite Star Trek movies are Galaxy Quest and Forbidden Planet. So, I think there's a lot to be said for that. It's it's a really funny movie, and also the extra scenes. If you get the Blu-ray, watch the deleted scenes because they're equally funny and quite wonderful. So yeah, absolutely. So let's see. So I'm looking at Danielle, you're next on my screen. Go for it.
Hi, Danielle. Good to be here. Nice to see you again, Mark and Elaine. I saw you guys with Michael Lopez service, and I feel like, I just wanted to come. I haven't been to the table in years, but I think I'm supposed to be here, so I'm here. I am an actress and a poet. I have been writing a lot recently. I have a whole manuscript ready of a whole bunch of poems. I had no idea that would be another passion of mine, but any way to express myself, I always feel a lot of things, and I like to make beauty out of pain, and I've been able to do that through writing and acting.
Great.
And also, also too, I've getting a few scenes ready for a demo reel so I can get an agent.
Great.
And so just getting back into things, and I really am excited to be here because I really I want to network, and also I'm interested in helping being on like sets too. So that's great that you said that. Maybe I could help in some way, not even with acting, just like a part of. I need to be on more sets, and I'm willing to help, and I also want to meet more people. So definitely, I feel like I'm in the right space for that, and I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to be back here at the table, and grateful.
Well, it's great to have you here, Danielle. And it's I mean, this is the way you get known. You by showing up, and also the table email. One can't put attachments, but one can put links. So when you have an acting reel or something you'd like to share with all several thousand members, that's absolutely fine and appropriate to do that. So great. So anything else? Anything you need?
Anything I need? I need numbers, and I can put my number here. Support. I'll support you. Let's support each other. I really like what you said, Mark, about just the fact that like it's very welcoming. We need this right now. I really feel like that. We need the community. And when we all like the same things, it's just so much better. So I feel like support.
Yes.
That would be great.
Well, also, Elaine and I started the table 28 years ago, and it came from a desire to create a Hollywood the way I wanted Hollywood to be, which was mutually supportive, positive, without judgment in terms of who's deserving, who's not, who's talented, who's not. Those things are irrelevant. The real question is, what do you want to accomplish, and how do you get there? I mean, it's that simple, and so it grew from 6 people to thousands with offshoots all over the country. And and I think and Elaine and I have certainly gotten as much benefit from it as anyone has. And what I've learned in my career is that when I create from passion and from joy when I reach out to people who are kind, and I am, am kind as well. And Elaine certainly is, my God. But it just kind of creates a bouquet of people. It creates a life worth living. There's so many toxic people in Hollywood, but one does not have to associate with them to be successful, and that's very, very important for people to know. And it's funny because I just finished the new book, Greenlighting Yourself, and I reached out to J.J. Abrams and to Guillermo for blurbs, and they immediately provided them, as did a number of my other friends in the industry, and that came from planting seeds, and people know who Elaine and I are, what we represent in our work and in our lives, and that makes them happy to vouch for us, because they know we won't disappoint.
But
Right.
good for you, just getting to know people, getting on set. I mean, someone who has been helping us for a while, we needed a character to insert into a scene, a key character.
Yes.
And there she was.
Vita,
She'd been helping us, and
at the studio.
We needed a strong actor to insert into this scene, which we slivered together thanks to David and Dave.
Everyone's
and our wonderful DP, and we just slivered her in, and
Yes.
there she is, and it's a very strong scene.
It's very fun. It's very, very cool. So great. So anything else?
That's it. No, thank you.
Okay, yay, 3 cheers. So Adam, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Oh.
Yes. Our next Mr. Sci-Fi question is from Mark Lungo.
Hi, Mark.
So thinking about the Space Command universe,
yes.
He wants to know, what is the world of criminal justice and law enforcement like in the Space Command era?
That's an interesting question. I mean, I don't know. What do you? I don't know. Beats me. If you do bad things, you get bad experiences. You're sent into the Phantom Zone. I don't know. We'll have to mull on that. I mean, we tend to not write villains per se. We write people in opposition, and so we're not primarily like, well, that guy went off to prison for the next 3,000 years. It's not where we send a storyline. And there's a very interesting show we just watched on Netflix called Midnight Mass that was very, very interesting and had a lot of great stuff in it, and very surprising, because it's positioned as sort of your standard horror show, but it really goes far deeper than that. And
it's not so much about bad people, but people who make unfortunate decisions.
Yes, very unfortunate.
Decisions. But we understand why.
Yes, it's a show we really liked, and so cool. So there you go. Yeah. So let's see. So Mark Gusho, I saw him there somewhere. I guess he's
there. He is.
Oh, the Rocky T-shirt.
There you go. Yeah. Okay, go for it, Mark.
Okay, before I get started, though, since somebody brought up Village of the Damned, what did you think of the Carpenter remake?
Not much. I really didn't like it. It's like John Carpenter, The Thing is one of my favorite movies, but my gosh, there's so many movies he's done where you just kind of say, oh gosh, what a lost opportunity. So, but that's just my opinion, but I've known about him and been a fan of his work since Dark Star. I was reading about that movie when he and Dan O'Bannon were making it while they were USC students, because Cine Fantastique did an article on that, and I was waiting years for that movie to come out. And of course, it's one of the great science fiction films in its interesting way. So, but go ahead, please.
Okay, so I'm just been pretty actively editing. I think I am pretty full of work all the way to the end of the year, and it's been a long time since I've been able to say that.
Wow.
So I'm feeling good about the editing, the professional editing aspect of what's going on in my life right now, although it's kind of exhausting me and cutting into some other stuff. But, I'm here to work in the movie business, so anything that keeps me going is a good thing. I wanted to welcome back Kevin Matthew, who hasn't been here in a while. I hope you're feeling better.
Great.
Because we haven't seen him in a while, and I know... Anyway,
The website I found out today, 52%, or my website for anybody who doesn't know, it's called Underexposed Cinematic Treasures, where I explore unseen, underseen, misunderstood, and forgotten movies. I found out 52% of my audience is coming from Germany for some reason. I don't know why. I mean, I put no advertising or anything out there, just social media right now. But I went into Google Analytics and I started working with that to see where things are coming, and they say 52% from Germany. So that's kind of interesting. I am a new, I guess, worker on Space Command, or I should say it this way, on Space Command.
Yes.
He always says it. So I've actually been on the phone quite a bit with Dave Edison regarding footage and all that. So hopefully we can start moving forward on that a little bit faster.
Great.
Trying to think if my short film got into a second film festival and has been considered a finalist in a third. I don't necessarily know what finalist means, especially since the date is. I thought maybe it was I'm a finalist and they're still deciding, but the festival's coming up relatively quick and they haven't asked me for my film, so I don't know what it means. But so in the last month, there's been 3 positive responses to my film from film festivals. Which makes me feel relatively good about that because, as everybody remembers, the Thursday after I shot, I thought I was screwed, and now I've got festivals saying send it to me. So maybe it's a lesson to me to not jump the gun so quickly.
Yes.
Or I'm just the best editor in the planet. Was able to figure it out. Anyway, trying to think if there's anything else really going on that's interesting in my life. Got a lot of boring stuff going on. I pulled out my my werewolf script and I gave it to a friend of mine who's been writing in the business for 40 years. And he read it, said it was 65%. He thought it was 65% there. I need to do some work on it. But he told me that it felt like it was inspired by the work of Val Lewton. And so if it was, it completely subconsciously, because I haven't thought about a Val Lewton movie in like 20 years.
Wow. So
I pulled out some of those. I'm going to see what he means by it, and maybe it'll help me make the film a little bit better. And to go in that direction.
Well,
I think he was kind of hinting to the fact that I don't really show a lot of gore and everything. I kind of, leave it to your imagination, which we did because we were going to try and shoot on a budget. That was the only so we'll see.
Cool.
Since he pointed it, I'm like, well, let's see. Let's go study some of that and see how I can maybe incorporate that into the film.
Great.
And I think that is about it. I'm just going to throw this out there because I haven't had a chance to reach back out to David Goldenholtz, but somebody should explain to him the life email. Because I know nothing about it, so all I was going to respond to him was ask about the life email when it gets to be his turn. So when it gets to be his turn, you should explain that to him because I think he's planning on moving to California.
Okay, cool. Yay.
Don't forget about it.
Okay, great. So,
and Mark Zickery, at your earliest convenience, please send that email around to David Bartlett and Mark Gushowitz and myself and whoever else is involved in that to try to really nail down what the.
Yes, that's fine. And I have to review all of the materials, and we can talk. I have some very specific ideas.
That would be nice. I'm reviewing all the materials now, but you sent me a link to literally hundreds of videos.
No. Just again, it's sort of like if it says Space Command behind the scenes, then yes. If it's a trailer, yes, but not. You don't have to watch everything, and nor should you. We'll nail down the list. So because there's a lot of stuff since we've been on this for a decade. So let's see. So is there a Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
Yes. Our next question is also from Fit to Be Read.
Yes.
How many episodes of Space Command have already been written?
Let's see. There's United Planet. These are two. okay, United Planet's the prequel. Redemption is the 2-hour first story. Forgiveness is the 2-hour second story. It's structured in 2-hour stories that form a larger arc. Then after that is Great Solar War. Then after that is Empire. Then after that is Harvester. There's also Grizzled Space Jockey, which is the short story, and the bonus episode, Ripple Effect. So of all of those, drafts have been written of pretty much all of it, and that comprises the first season. We haven't written Harvester
And Mousetrap too. Right?
Mousetrap, yeah. The Harvester and
that's
Mousetrap. Mousetrap hasn't been written yet, and Harvester hasn't been written. Empire, Great Solar War, Forgiveness, Redemption, United Planet, those have all been written. And so there you go. And lots of.
I'm sorry, Mark. Before you go on, my cat was climbing underneath my computer and cut you off when you were telling me something about where to go with the videos. I put in a search for Redemption.
Yes.
And I started off with that.
That's not where to go. In the next day or two, we'll nail this down. And
okay. I just want to get started on it as soon as I can.
Yes. But I mean, let's put it this way. Definitely, I want the trailers on the Blu-ray and DVD. I want the deleted scenes on the Blu-ray and DVD, including the shot that we excised of Kasturi from the Battle on Titan. Okay.
We did this separately, right?
Yeah. And then there's a behind-the-scenes featurette that I want, and we'll talk about that. And then and then we should discuss which of the Comic-Con stuff we want to have on it, and so forth. So yeah. We'll get into
all right. We'll talk in more detail. All these people don't need to.
No. They don't.
Bored by my curiosities.
Yeah, you bet. So next on my screen is Kevin. The other Kevin was there, but is he? Yeah, there he is. Go for it, Kevin.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
It's good to be back. Sort of. I mean, we're not back, but I kind of miss going. I know, not kind of. I very much miss meeting at the restaurant and
we do
hanging out with everybody.
Yeah, it was great.
Someday, I hope that we get there. Back to that.
We will. We have the. Fortunately, we've got the place was found where they're waiting for us.
Patty's Restaurant has offered. We just have to figure out when is the propitious time. It's sort of like, obviously we would want people to come who've been vaccinated. We don't want to spread COVID, but then with COVID, the Delta variant and all this stuff, Christ knows.
But we're eager too.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Hopefully sooner rather than later. But go ahead, please.
Yeah. Oh no, that's okay. No, I'm just saying. It's good to be back. I did have a big hiatus because I have had some health issues and stuff, but beating back cancer and stuff like that.
Right?
What's that?
You feeling okay?
I am feeling okay. Yeah, I had cancer in my arm last year, and then beat that back, and then lung cancer appeared today this year. So it's like I got the cancer Delta variant. No, I don't know what it was. It keeps coming back, and I keep fighting it out. Yeah. But 2 more treatments left, and I think I'm done.
Great.
So,
yay. Good. So is there anything you need?
So yes, I actually do have a real specific need. So partly due to me being in bed a lot last year, and I'm listening to my daughter listening to these videos, the TV videos, and I'm hearing these songs, right? That they're always in these shows, and I don't know if I've ever said, but I have a large musical theater background, a very long musical theater background. That's been most of my career, actually, is musical theater.
Great.
And I'm listening to it, and I'm listening to her shows, and she has this knack for finding the cutest shows. Huh. And I'm just thinking, this is musical theater. If I want to find my niche here in LA, this is it, because this is what my whole career has been. I've created I think it's 9 shows that have been produced on stage and that sort of thing. Yeah. So I thought, as I started into the recovery end of things, I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to do that.
Great.
So I got some animation and scored to it, and in the meantime, I ended up getting a really nice contact for some studios.
Great.
Sort of ball just kept rolling in that direction, and but he really likes my music. He will be giving it to my demo reel to the people that he knows.
Great.
But he asked me specifically. He said, "Do you have anything for that's for preschools? Preschool?" I have not really done a lot with preschool. It's just been sort of general animation or just for kids in general.
Right.
But I think he knows the people that he's going to be approaching and their needs, and so wants me to have something on my demo reel to fit their needs, so I have a better chance of getting something. Sure. So I've kind of asked around a little bit, and I haven't been able to find any animation directly that's for that particular age group. So I wanted to ask the table and say, and I've written an email too, but do you know anybody that produces or creates animation that I can score or rescore?
Wow, that's interesting.
So that I have something to put on my demo reel.
That's
I might have something for you.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Great. Terrific.
Do you think that maybe doing some free work to help people with their animated sizzle reels could help you?
Could.
I got a friend who's in animation, and I edit like sizzle reels for him and everything, but he's more adult stuff. But he might have some friends who might be looking for some.
Cool.
Sorry.
That's cool. And also one other thing to mention, Kevin, is that as you write things that are particularly entertaining, you might want to put some of it on the internet, because Rachel Bloom, that's how she got started. Rachel Bloom did a great song called "Fuck Me Ray Bradbury," and it was doing double entendres with all the titles of his books, and it was so charming and so sweet that I actually connected Ray Bradbury up with her, and she went to his house and visited him.
Oh, wow.
And so she built a head of steam up with all those things, and then that led to My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, which really put her on the map to the larger public. So
if you want to play around and make some calls, I worked at Head Start programs with 4-year-olds, and they're really smart. They're great little kids at that age.
Yeah.
And there are some books with there's wonderful children's illustrators for kids of that age. Beautiful stuff. Which you could with an editor, you could turn into animatics and music.
Well, sure.
Put music to
That's
that.
true. That's true. I could do an animatic.
Yeah, and that could be really beautiful. I mean, Dave has given us quite a few wonderful animatics.
Yes.
And again, these children's book, some of the illustrators are wonderful.
Yes.
And I'm sure it'd be new to them. And so just doing some of those animatics for the 4-year-olds, it's lovely. I think you could do some lovely material, because those kids are very sharp.
Great.
At age 4 and 5.
Great.
Yeah, I love writing for that age group. It's just it's fantastic. I love it. So yeah. Thank you.
Okay, well, 3 cheers. Yay. So is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
Yes, and Kevin, I'll have to contact you about getting on my podcast.
Great.
Inside Animation.
Cool.
Oh, right, nice.
Yeah.
I mean,
nice.
Talk to anyone in the animation industry. So.
Wow. Good.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
But to our question.
Yes.
It's just more of a suggestion from Kevin Scott 76, asking about an Easter egg in Space Command of people having a table read in the background.
Or someone suggesting putting that in.
Yeah,
that's a funny idea. Well, we'll keep that in the little possibilities file. Yeah, sure. You never know. And but
maybe on a monitor or something.
Yes. There's a lot of stuff I want to do along those lines. It's when I was a teenager, my friend Elliot Chang did a short film that was a ripoff of Mars is Heaven, a very famous Ray Bradbury story. And I was around 16, I think, and he cast me in the lead, and I was wearing my spacesuit, the same spacesuit that I wear in Space Command. And it was all recorded without sound, and then he did my voice in post, and my mom is in it, and his sister did her voice. But I would love to get that footage, because they'd be so fun to put that footage of me as a teenager in that spacesuit on some screen somewhere. I would. So I'm reaching out to Elliot to see if he can find that ancient piece of film, and I'd love to see it just to see it after all these years. And but that was really fun. And he cast me in the lead because I was the only person he knew who owned a spacesuit, and so that was pretty rich. So cool. So let's see, Galinda, I guess you're next on my screen.
Hey, as long as I can remember how to push a button sometimes, let's see, I don't have anything too terribly exciting. I did find a really sweet little gem. There was a Canadian children's space TV show called Space Command.
Huh. Yes.
And there's apparently only one episode remaining, and it happens to be the one with James Doohan in it.
Yes, I've seen it. Huh.
Really sweet. I love that. I love space, old science fiction before we knew anything about space and the anomalies there, like C.S. Lewis having people walking on Pluto, breathing the atmosphere and things like that. That amuses me.
Yes.
And I love to see how far we've come.
Yes.
I recently picked up a rewatch of MASH because I remembered how valuable that was to my daddy. Daddy had spent 3 years in Vietnam.
Wow.
And it was very difficult for the Vietnam vets during that time period anyway, because they couldn't talk to anybody who wasn't there about about what happened there, because there were no safe places. And I really believe that MASH was designed to be that kind of a safe place. And it really was that for my dad.
Wow.
We could talk about it without talking directly about what he experienced and without saying the name. So he did have that.
That's great.
That balance. And that's kind of what I'm hoping to be able to recreate when I start producing things here.
Cool. No, that's great.
I want that to be a goal. I want that whole Rod Serling moral universe kind of thing.
Yes.
Basically, I see MASH as people who should have been allowed to live in the Star Trek universe.
Yeah.
But we're trapped in hell instead.
Yeah.
And
go ahead, please.
Yeah, taking note of so many crossover actors.
Yes.
And the little Easter eggs when one of them was on Star Trek. There's a 4077 reference in the David Dodkins Spears Next Generation episode.
Wow, that's great.
That's pretty cute. I love Easter eggs. I love Easter eggs, any kind. I don't care what you're referencing it, but something I recognize, I'm going to get excited about it.
Yes, well, it's great when you're making shows that you can cast some of your heroes. I remember when I was story editing Friday the 13th, I wrote an episode that cast Ray Walston, and of course I'd grown up watching My Favorite Martian and loving it. So just to be able to write for him was just so much fun, and so I've had that experience. It's terrific.
Very, 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 very cool. Very cool to have that kind of come full circle for you, and I think that would be a goal. A lot of these folks are gone. I regret that I didn't get to meet certain people like Larry Linville. He played one of the worst characters, but so beautifully. And all reports, he was one of the sweetest human beings ever to grace the face of the planet.
Yeah.
And it really does show in the dedication when you can come across and people don't like you, but then within the character arc, they can see you inside there.
Yes.
And the character development. We're 10 seasons, I think. So there's a big span of character development.
Yeah.
But, that's, I'm kind of in a research mode at the moment.
Cool.
And filling myself with my vibe for the universe.
Yeah.
So that I can put it into the storyline better.
Cool. That sounds great. So anything you need at this point?
Only if somebody knows the secret magic food to lure Roborovsky hamsters. I have an escaped hamster. And since we are moving, there is a lot of box and stuff around. And she took a dive and ran underneath some stuff, and I have not seen her for about 6 hours. So
Wow.
It's not the first time. I will probably catch her on the stairs again, but their names are Lursa and Bator for a reason. They're not horribly fond of being handled at all, and they would rather I just throw food at them and leave them alone. So I do. And but this one of them, she won't leave. Even if I accidentally leave the door open, she won't get out. But this one, the second she sees an opening, she's like popcorn, and it's just gone.
Wow.
So and with 3 cats and 3 Yorkies in the house, we don't have a single hunter.
Well, that's good.
I'm not the least bit concerned of one of the other animals finding her and doing her any harm. As a matter of fact, I wish one of these toothless Yorkies would pick her up and bring her to me.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
I love.
Well, that's good.
And I'm glad to be here. Much love, y'all. Great to be able to be here. I appreciate y'all a lot.
Great. Well, good to see you. 3 cheers. So, Adam, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes, we have another Scott Baker question.
Great.
He says, I saw episodes 1 and 2 of Foundation and noticed that the idea of the Foundation is similar to what Andre Gregory was describing to Wally Shawn in My Dinner with Andre.
Huh.
Do you think there's a connection there?
I'd have to watch that movie, My Dinner with Andre, again, because I haven't seen it for like decades. I saw it when it came out, so I can't address that. I have watched the first 2 episodes of Foundation, which I thought was astonishingly beautifully produced. The production design's terrific, but the character development is very poor. You don't know who these people are. You don't know why you should care about them. It's, stuff starts happening at the end of the second hour, but gosh, the whole notion of creating characters that you connect with and want to take the journey with, for me, that was its weakest aspect. So we shall see. But I admire them for trying to take it on. A lot of these science fiction classics from the 50s really don't hold up as well as they might for adaptations into film and television, because, again, science fiction during that period was renowned for having very little character development. And it was more about the ideas, more about the spectacle than anything else. And there are reasons for that. I mean, I think science fiction attracted, particularly during that period, it attracted people who weren't that interested in emotions, relationships, human beings, and they felt a lot of safety in science and numbers and so forth. So I think it's a very different genre now. But I think that they tried for decades to make Childhood's End, and by the time they got around to making it, a lot of its ideas have been seen in other things that cribbed from it. So again, we'll see what they do. But I mean, so far it's beautiful to watch. I mean, beautiful to look at, and we shall see what we shall see. And I really love Jared Harris, and just found out that he's Richard Harris's son. But he's a terrific actor, and I really enjoy seeing him in pretty much anything. So there you go.
Well, my opinion is that to have a connection with Wallace Shawn and Foundation, that's simply inconceivable.
Yes. And no, Wallace Shawn is one of a kind. So, Carol, I guess you're next on my screen.
Thank you. And thank you both for hosting this, as always.
Sure.
I don't know who of you saw the Tony Awards Sunday night, but they were so scrumptious. They were good for your soul. So fabulous. So if you can't, I kept saying, she's such a good singer. They're such good dancers. It's Broadway. It's the creme de la creme. I should know this. And how come they're so good? It was so entertaining. But I emailed the American Theater Wing, who produces it, this morning, because I've been walking around with this, and I said, I'm emailing you for 2 reasons. The show was fabulous, and thank you so much. But in the memoriam, they didn't include my beautiful friend Charles Grodin, who was on Broadway.
Oh, wow.
And I know I'm being very subjective, and I know it's just an oversight, but I just felt like, in deference to him, I just said to them, I wish you would have included him.
Yes.
He was what a wonderful man and a wonderful actor. So all these shows are opening on Broadway. I was in Aladdin, a straight version, not on Broadway, a straight version at the Courtyard Playhouse in New York. And so a special thing for Aladdin, I played the dancing camel.
Yes.
So I have a special thing for Aladdin, but I understand COVID's going through the cast and they had to close it.
Wow.
I know. I'm like crushed. It's a huge production, huge, with the sparkles. It's a huge production.
Wow.
So let's just all really be careful.
Yes.
Please. Oh, wow. Okay. So I'm available for table reads. I have a question to you, camera techies out there. Hologram machines, do they project images really far? This was something I'm writing. Do they project images really far, or would a commercial theatrical projector project something farther and more intricate than a hologram projector?
Yeah,
Would
David,
any of you know that?
do you know David?
Would the Davids know that?
Yeah, the hologram projectors don't have the cinematic slang term is punch. They don't go out very far before they start falling off.
Oh.
Film a projection or HD tape or projection and send that onto a very large screen that's very bright and much more powerfully and effectively than an actual hologram projector.
Okay.
That's your question?
Yeah, just something I'm writing. This is a technical thing I don't know anything about. Okay. All right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I have one other question too. I might have brought this up before, but it's really come home to roost. There's this new model. You know, they always used to say never pay an agent ahead of time because it turns into Miss Betsy's dancing school and charm classes or something. So you know, you do that. But there is this new model, and these people are not quite managers, and they're not, but they are producers. They are producers. But they take your stuff and they take it around to see what financiers might be interested in it. But they charge you a couple $1,000 up front.
Nah, don't do it. Don't do it. No, it's a scam. Or let's put it this way, it's just not.
They should be paying you.
Yeah.
Right?
So the rule is they should be paying you to. I think the minimum is $10.
Well, yeah, what's
but they
option
should
it,
be
but-
optioning it.
Yeah, but
and if you're paying them, that is absolutely inappropriate.
the way you want to do it is you always want to do your due diligence. I mean, you know, if it's just, I mean, there's so many scams in Hollywood, and they're not criminal scams, but often there's classes, there's all sorts of seminars and so forth. You know, you really need to have people who are on the inside of the equation to be part of your team, because it just goes so much easier. You know, but I would be very wary of that. I would definitely talk to them and say, okay, who have you actually, what movies have you gotten set up?
Yes, that's the thing. The crib in their rationale is that I looked up all three of them. Two of them have really produced a lot of movies.
Well, that doesn't.
You see what I'm saying?
I don't know. I mean, I just think that there's a lot of ways to get cheated. You know, I would be very careful.
Well, if they have produced a lot of movies, I would then say, I'm considering this. I would like to talk to somebody
who has hired you to do this.
Who's hired you to do this, and you know, I just like to, just a few references so I can be reassured.
Yes.
And so, you know, get some names from those, from
People.
Whatever position they held on those films.
Yes, because it may have been horizontal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
no, this is research. If they're asking for money, that's
a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, one produced 9 movies, one produced 11.
Well, are they movies you've heard of?
One like Fringe, like, I mean, not exactly Gone with the Wind, but you know, Fringe stuff. Yes, I have to think what, but
Sure.
One completely connected to a European country, and she has all these European financiers.
I don't know. I mean,
no, okay, that's why I'm asking. No,
I would research it. You know, just say I'd like a few names of the people where they paid you and you set their films up, so I can talk to them.
And then you talk to those people.
Yes.
But make sure that it doesn't sound like the same person, because you know that's easily done. But
hi
there. but again, it's like, you know, there's so many bottom feeders in this industry, and it's just a waste of time, and it saps your energy, and it can cost you a lot of money. So just be careful.
Yeah,
okay, all right, no, that's fine.
Great.
Right, that's all I need for today.
Yay! 3 cheers. So, Adam, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Let's see. Yes, I believe. Yes. We have another question from Kevin Scott 76.
Cool.
Who wants to know, what was the first sci-fi book you ever read?
I remember my first favorite book, which was when I was 7. And when I was 7, my favorite book was Farmer in the Sky by Robert A. Heinlein. It was one of his juveniles, and it was about a boy who was sort of like the equivalent of a Boy Scout, and his relationship with his father when they moved from Earth to an alien planet. And I think the idea of having this father figure was meaningful to me at that point. And I remember I made a little diorama of the book, a scene from the book in a shoebox with like cellophane on one side so you could see into it. And but that's the first book I actually remember caring about, and I still have a copy of it. And I love the Heinlein juveniles. I like them a lot better than his adult novels. And but yeah. So that's the first one I remember. So there you go. Now another thing I should mention is that David Bartlett recently had me. We have a stack of animation stuff I did, premises, outlines, etc. And for a lot of different shows back when I was writing animation in the late 70s, early 80s. And we were making copies to send to backers from various Kickstarter campaigns. But I actually spent about 45 minutes or so going through that material and talking about, you know, shows that I wrote for, like Smurfs and He-Man and Super Friends and Real Ghostbusters. And so I'm probably going to put that video up on Mr. Sci-Fi soon. And it's pretty interesting because a lot of these things I did not remember writing. I never knew that I wrote for the animated Spider-Man, for instance, and I did apparently. So, you know, so that will be a very interesting thing that you should keep your eye out for in the near future. So great. So let's see, David Goldenholtz, you're up. Go for
David, finally.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome.
Great.
So, as you all know, or some of you may not know, I am a sound mixer, and I do voiceover, and I do some 3D printing.
Great.
Yes. Also, not too much new is going on. I got hired to do some work at a venue coming up.
Cool.
And also, I wanted to know what your favorite old movie is, like one of your first favorite sci-fi movies is.
I'm a big fan of Robinson Crusoe on Mars, which was made in the 60s. And in fact, I got to know the two lead actors. They became table members later in life. And I just love that film. It's just, I saw it in theaters when I was a kid. And I love the Harryhausen films, you know, Jason and the Argonauts, and, you know, Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, and The Time Machine, the George Powell one. Those were some of my favorite movies when I was a kid. Yeah, absolutely.
And also because he told me to remind him the life email thing. What is that?
Yes. We originally started with two different emails that you could subscribe to as a table member. One was the major email where you're posting about the industry. Then there was a life one where you could post about, I'm selling a car, I'm looking for an apartment, I'm trying to get rid of this cat. Now, during the pandemic, our administrator on the table emails has allowed people to actually, on the main email, the table email, to post things that previously that would be just for the life one, like I'm looking for a job or whatever. So because he you know, understood that people are really up against it. So but the table email you can subscribe to as a separate email list, and I mean the life one, and it's very useful. But it has a smaller number of people signed up than the major regular table email. So you know, David Bartlett, I'm sure, can point you in the right direction on that one, and you can see if it's of use to you. But and the difference is that the major table email is moderated, so that means there's a lot of guidelines, and if you say something you shouldn't, he'll you know, tell you. Whereas the life one is not moderated. Amazingly, even though it's not moderated, it hasn't gotten spammed or screwed over in my experience. So that's good. So great. So anything else, David?
No.
Okay. Cool. Yay! David Goldenholtz. So is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
Yes, actually, we have our first super chat of the night from Gregory Krug. He wants to know legally, what is the difference between Orson Welles' 1938 radio broadcast of War of the Worlds versus yelling fire in a crowded theater?
Yes, well, what he's referring to is that 1938, the War of the Worlds broadcast, a lot of people believed it was real, that the Martians were invading New Jersey, and they panicked and they ran out, and they'd see water towers and shoot at them thinking they were Martian tripod machines and so forth. The real answer is Orson Welles wasn't trying to create a panic. If you listen to the full broadcast, at the beginning it says, "Hello, it's the Mercury Theater on the air, and tonight we're doing War of the Worlds for Halloween," and he says it. But the problem was that his show was not getting a lot of listeners, and Charlie McCarthy and Edgar Bergen on another network it was the big hit radio show. And then at one point in the Charlie McCarthy show, they had a musical act come on, and a whole bunch of people turned that off. and looked for something else to listen to. And so they came in on War of the Worlds about 10 minutes in, where soldiers are getting burned to death by a Martian war machine, and they went, "What the hell?" So it was very interesting. And Wells was like 23, 24 years old at the time. This is, of course, before Citizen Kane. He was really an amazing, brilliant guy, Orson Welles. And one thing I can recommend is if you go on to YouTube or LibriVox, you can find the other Mercury Theater broadcasts, and they're terrific. Absolutely. He did a version of Dracula. He did many other stories. In fact, he did Magnificent Ambersons, which is one of his later, a film he did after Citizen Kane that was eviscerated. He did it on the radio first, and he also did Jane Eyre. There's a lot of great stuff, and
but in terms of legality, it's a question of intent, because
he wasn't trying to have people get hysterical.
It was clarified several times.
Yeah. And again, he, it fortunately did not end his career. But certainly he had his ups and downs in his lifetime, and but an amazing man and one of a kind. So yep, there you go. And so let's see who else is on my screen. I guess Jay, you're next. So go for it.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
What's up, everybody? It's been a while. Hi. All right, let's see here. Got a list of stuff here I got to go through. See if I can read this. All right. Lately, and I want to let you know that I've been staying in contact with Chrissy. Sorry that she can't be here. She's on jury duty. She wanted me to tell you guys much love, but she's on jury duty. Anyway, okay. So I don't know if you guys ever heard of a phone app called Meetup, but there is a couple of events going on in the area here of LA. And I think there's also another one. I can't think of the app, but I think they told me that when I was doing that screen shooting with Than and the other people. It's another phone app, but I'll get back with you on that one. But I've been practicing voiceovers for cartoon characters, practicing also on another, it's like a script writing class, free, I guess, on, I think it's through Zoom or it's through Meetup too, I'm not sure. And I guess I'm practicing, and we all do like the same act or same characters or different ones. It's just kind of like it's a classroom thing. So we take turns. I am practicing being a bumbly detective on a script that we're doing. So yeah, try to figure that one out, right? Anyway, let's see here. Finally found my actor's resume. Sending it out to the studios and talent agents around here. Finally found me a steady job, which is cool.
Great.
I got me better wheels that actually work and doesn't die on me. So that's really cool. I was wondering if you guys knew of, I still have not been added into the room here to get notification every single week. So Chrissy has been manually having to do it, knowing that she forgot one time last Thursday before. I can't remember, but I couldn't join, even though I wanted to. I could not get in because Chrissy didn't have enough time.
Okay.
So if someone could please put me in there on the automated system, if that's what it is, I'd really appreciate that.
David Bartlett.
I've been talking to David. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. I just keep getting emails from, and I know that she's real busy with that other stuff, like job and whatnot.
Go ahead and send it to me. I'll take care of it.
David Bartlett. He puts people on the list. So just send your info to David and he can get you on the list.
Yep. David Bartlett.
David, do I still have your email?
I don't know. I can give it to you again. It's in the queue here in the chat. It's in the chat.
Okay. I'll see if I can find it.
Great.
If not, I'll see if I think I have it because I think we spoke a couple times, didn't we?
Yeah.
Wow.
Got like a misunderstanding. First time we talked on the phone. Sorry about that. Anyway, but I'm working on sequels to my kids book that I think I told you guys about when I first saw you guys or met you.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know of any legitimate, real publishers? Because the one that I had turned out to be nothing but a scam artist.
Yeah.
And now there's 2 protection lawsuits out against him.
Yeah. I mean, again, with publishers, normally when it's not COVID, there's a book fair, a book trade show called Book Expo America. And that's where all the publishers go. And that's a great place to go to meet the publishers and see who's doing what. It's tricky because, obviously if you go to the book department, the children's book department of any Barnes and Noble, you can see who the legit publishers are. The question is how to get them to pay attention to you, and so that's why I go to conventions and trade shows and so forth, because I meet people in person, and that makes it so much easier. But and over the next year or so, I think a lot of these things will start resuming in-person events, and but that's what I would recommend, because otherwise it's just you're just kind of putting a note in a bottle, and but that's but the legit ones are the obvious ones. I mean, just go to a bookstore and just look through, and you can talk to the salespeople in children's book departments. Usually know children's books really well, and you can say, okay, which publishers are the most popular, and they'll tell you, they'll show you. And
probably libraries too, I bet.
Libraries, yes, but libraries won't have the most recent books and the most popular ones often. So a Barnes and Noble would be better to do that at, and so that's
or if
what
you're anywhere near Book Soup on Sunset.
Yeah, but their children department is not as good as like a Barnes and Noble. A Barnes and Noble would be better in that case. But yeah, anything else, Jay?
Yeah. Hold on.
Sure.
The other app that I was trying to let you guys know ahead of time when I was talking about the meetup, it's called Clubhouse.
Cool. I've heard about them, but I really haven't checked them out yet. So and again, with all of this stuff, you try stuff, you see what works, what brings benefits. It's very important to be clear on what one's objective is, because frequently people are just kind of drifting like helium balloons being blown around by the air conditioning, and it's very important to say, what am I actually trying to accomplish? Well, I'd like to be a regular on a TV show. I'd like to have a bestseller, whatever. But that really helps enormously in terms of deciding what actions are useful and which actions are a waste of time. Because, my God, there are so many things one can go to and so many things one can do that lead pretty much nowhere. And you have to be really, really, really careful of that. So that's, but I'm not saying that's true of those apps. It may well be of benefit. I mean, for myself, years ago, I actually sat down and I listed, okay, given all the jobs I've gotten in my career, what has led to me getting work? And I found, interestingly enough, that it was 2 things: going to science fiction conventions and having lunches with producers that I met at events. Those 2 things brought most of my work. And so that was very useful because it told me what to zone in on. Now, interestingly enough, back 20 years ago or more, generally producers on TV shows would have lunch breaks where they could go and have lunches with other people, and that's how they would network. Now on shows, and this is except, not talking about COVID, but now in general, now they don't tend to have lunch. The lunch is brought in, they have lunch with the writing staff, and so setting lunches with people is no longer a great way to network. So it's fascinating how things change, and but that's just maybe. So anything else, Jay?
Well, and nowadays it's so quick too to get into whatever you like resource. I mean, this is almost close to the 22nd century. People can just get on the computer and just look stuff up just like that.
Yeah.
It's not like the 19th century or to 18th where you had to pretty much know any or every kind of Tom, Dick, and Harry known to man just to try to get this or that or whatever. And that's great. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so glad to know we have that.
Yes.
It's probably one of the best things, and obviously with COVID too. But I'm gonna be frank here. I'm tired of the COVID.
Yeah.
I'm so annoyed with it. I want it gone, and I want it gone immediately. It is so. I mean, it's driving me crazy. I'm sorry. It's just
no.
Yeah.
That's true.
Gives me a headache.
We could start a petition
start a petition. Jesus Christ! Thanks, Dave. Yeah, I think everyone is getting pretty sick of the pandemic, and and yet it's so, for those of us who are science fiction writers, it is so interesting because we have grown up reading novels and seeing movies and watching TV shows about pandemics our entire life, and the fact that the real pandemic is so different from any of those books and movies and TV shows, because the big difference is in those books and movies and TV shows, the pandemic was what everyone was front and center on, and that was what was happening. No one in those books predicted that you would have a Black Lives Matter movement and this crazy, stuff with the alt-right and all of these things happening at once. And that
Spread out a little bit.
It's but that all is gonna change. The reality of living through a pandemic is gonna vastly change how pandemics are dealt with in fiction from now on, because we all see that it's a much more varied experience.
If this is the end of times, I tell you, I'm doing one hell of a job trying to follow my dream. I tell you, this is probably the best thing that ever could happen to anybody, let alone myself. And I got to wear masks everywhere I go. I'm just like saying, really? I'm getting tired because I can hardly breathe.
Yeah.
With masks and look I'm doing right now, I sound like I'm underwater. I'm like going nasally and shit like that. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Great. But it'll be over soon, hopefully, and we'll be meeting in person and all that stuff. So great. But
Cool.
So anything else, Jay? I think we're good.
Yeah, give me about $1 million so I can continue on with whatever it is I got to do. Because if y'all can start, handing that or put that in the pot for me.
Yeah. Well,
great.
there's a book coming out which you should probably buy called Greenlighting Yourself, which I just wrote, and it will tell you how to do that because it's not impossible. It's very, very possible. So there you go. So great. Well, good to see you. 3 cheers. Yay. So Adam, do we have go ahead. Adam, do we have another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes, we have a Scott Baker question.
Okay.
He says, "Have you seen the Netflix series called Brand New Cherry Flavor?"
Not yet.
It's actually a parallel to this live stream in that it combines show business insiders and sci-fi in the storyline.
Huh. Well, I'll have to check it out. It's we'll definitely check it out. It's the things we've liked recently that we've seen. I liked 9 Perfect Strangers with Nicole Kidman, and we liked Midnight Mass a lot. So that would be the 2 things I would recommend nowish. So great. So now Bonnie Janowski, you're up.
Hey, Bonnie.
Oh, you have to unmute. There you go.
Okay.
Oh, I just came back from seeing Judy Beecher's film. I knew today was the last day. It was playing in Encino. Oh my gosh, that is such a great film. We just came back from there, and yeah, everybody that recommended it was phenomenal. She did a great job. The whole film was excellent. It's cute, and I wish her really, really great success on that. And let's see, working on a film and our music library, we're doing a lot of writing.
Bonnie, tell people the name of the movie.
Sorry?
Tell people the name of the movie.
Right now, the one I'm working on, I don't know that it has a full name, but her film.
Judy's movie.
Sorry, yeah, that would help, wouldn't it? Sorry about that. Tango Shalom. It's just absolutely great. Yeah, you're right. Oops, that would help. Sorry about that. Scratched back and didn't give you the most important info. That would help. Just working on a lot of different things, working on songwriting, working on 2 musicals, one of which is From the Table, working on some songwriting with somebody from the table. Our music library, the Sum of All Music, we're collaborating on all kinds of stuff and working on a film that doesn't quite have a title yet, but it's more of it's actually a documentary. Just all kinds of good things, and also just want to thank Marketing Lane and everybody for the wonderful, wonderful memorial for Mike Lopez last Sunday. That was just really great. Spoke to Dana today, and she was just so pleased on that. And anyway, just keeping busy as usual. Anybody needing anything musical, let me know.
Okay.
I guess that's pretty much it for now.
And Bonnie, I know I'm going to be talking at the Twilight Zone thing on the weekend. I got an email from someone who's in charge of that, and just tell him to call me because I keep forgetting to answer his email. He wanted to talk to me.
Okay, Billy Malpeat. Yeah,
if you could
yeah.
just,
He's great. I'll have him do that.
Yeah.
Yes, on Sunday.
Yes.
Is the Academy Scoring Arts from 10 a.m. to noon.
Yeah.
And this time they'll be talking about Twilight Zone. Let's see, Eye of the Beholder and Invaders or something.
Wow.
Like,
those are great scores.
2 episodes.
That's Bernard Herrmann and Jerry Goldsmith. So that's going to be really fun to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is on Sunday, and if anybody is interested, academyofscoringarts.org. It's free, and of course, so that should be really good. Usually they do really in-depth score studies, but I think this time we're going to focus, I think, more on the stories, and you have to share, Mark, so that's going to be really great. That's this Sunday, October 3rd from 10 a.m. to noon. Actually, I think there's some published it as 10 to 12:30. Hopefully that's okay for you.
Cool.
So yeah, that's great. Now I'll tell Billy Melfi to give you a call.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Well, thanks,
Bonnie, I'm sorry if you can hear me or not. Could you post it in the room, please, so I can save it, please?
I'll post it on the chat.
Great. Cool. Cheers. Yay, Bonnie. So
I'll do that. Thank you, Mark, for coming to speak with us.
You're very welcome.
But actually, Mark is on our for Academy of Scoring Arts. He's actually on our advisory board as well.
Cool. Well, yeah, absolutely. Happy to do it. And one thing I should remember to talk about was there was a musician strike during Twilight Zone, and Lud Gluskin, who was in charge of the CBS music department, he was a composer and so forth, was sent to Europe to re-record all of the Twilight Zone scores with a European orchestra, which he did, which allowed them to have the music where it could be, they wouldn't have to pay the musicians royalties. And that actually had a positive benefit down the road of allowing it to be released more broadly, because they just couldn't use it. They couldn't use the music that had been recorded with the American musicians at that time. But I think Fareed Sarabande was able to release those scores because of that thing that Lud Gluskin had done. So interesting little musical side note. So Adam, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes, our next question is from Dave Hebert.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to know, what do most in Hollywood think about automation and AI? And are they worried about losing their jobs in the not too distant future?
They really aren't, for the most part. Certainly not writers, because writers write. I mean, so far robots can't write as well. It's just, no, they really aren't. You want, like, for instance, you need your DP. There might be certain things that'll be automated, but many of the things won't. And, maybe if you were a truck driver or something, then you might be worried. But no, not the above the line, and actors. I mean, there's the talk that someday they may be making avatars of actors and then utilize them in movies after the actor is gone. But we're not anywhere near being able to do that well now. You can do deep fakes and all sorts of stuff, but you still need, the actor's aesthetic choices. And that's a very, very different thing. Though they've done a great deep fake of Nixon when they had the moon landing. They had two speeches prepared for him, one where they succeeded and one where they died on the moon. And so they actually did a deep fake recently of Nixon giving that speech where they died on the moon. And it's really amazing. It really looks convincing and is quite something to watch. So great. So let's see. So
they're talking about AI programs for editing. And so that apparently you can throw some footage into it and the computer will edit it for you.
But again,
and
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just saying.
Yeah. Well, again, there's so many other things to worry about. I wouldn't worry about that. So, it's, but one thing that I will say in that regard is you do have to change with the times. For instance, when I started in animation, it was ink and paint. And that meant that you had artists who would trace the drawing in ink from the pencil sketch or whatever on the paper to the celluloid, and then they'd paint the back. And that was how animation was done. And a lot of those artists were in the States. And then it became, then they started farming it out to Asia, to Japan. And then ultimately it became computerized and they weren't using ink and paint at all anymore. So So you do have to be aware of what the changes are and roll with it and sort of look down the road a bit and say, okay, well, if this part of my career is going to change, let me be on the front lines of it. So, and find ways to stay relevant. So there is that. So Akira, I guess you're next if you want to go for it.
I'm mute. Okay, hello. This is Akira. My name is Akira Komatsu. Yeah, my family is Komatsu, and I'm a film composer and a guitarist and a language advisor. I'm bilingual with Japanese and English, and I'm teaching guitar and Japanese online. And besides my composing, I'm always, accepting the new students. It makes me alive here. And what I'm doing is now mainly composing in horror or suspense kind of genre, but I have never say no policy. If I put my website address on chat section, and if you like my music, I really love to work on any kind of genre. If you like my music. Yeah, and what I'm doing right now is library music and short movie. Unfortunately, I did not have any feature one yet, but hopefully yet to come. And doing some in-person gig is gradually coming back, and the end of October 2nd, I'm going to play on the award ceremony over there. It's produced by Miles Flanagan, Timber member. It is Hollywood Horror Festival. Boobs and Blood film festival, indie film festival. It's a horror film made by exclusively only woman. And there is award ceremony, and so I'm gonna play for the ceremony, for the audience mingling, and maybe some people from here is doing some volunteering stuff, I guess. And yeah, that's so fun. That's about me. Just composing and playing and teaching. And if you're interested in my work, anytime I'm open.
Okay, cool. Yay, good to see you. So, Adam, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
I'm searching here. It's kind of a political one. I don't know if I want to ask that one.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
I mean, I agree with it, but
yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I think we're caught up.
Oh, good. Okay, well then I'll say some science fictional.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of 1950s science fiction. That's what I grew up reading because I grew up in the 60s and 70s. So I was buying used paperbacks when I was a kid. And lately I've been finding on eBay. eBay is a godsend for anyone who's a collector. I've been finding inexpensive signed copies of books by writers who I loved, growing up. And so I just got this, which is Ring Around the Sun, signed by its author, Clifford Simak. And I love these covers with this lurid stuff, and it's an ace double. So you turn it upside down and there's another novel on the other side. But Clifford Simak was one of the great science fiction writers, not as well known as many of the others, but he worked for a very long time as a writer, and he was very, 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 very solid. So there you go, Ring Around the Sun, Clifford Simak. So, and I have little stickers that say signed by the author, which I put on books that are signed by the author. So there you go. So let's see. So I guess it's Elaine. Wonderful Elaine. Go for it, Elaine.
Yeah. Well, first I'd like to forward Judith Smiley's love to everyone.
Her regards.
Her regards. She's doing well, but she's a little bit tired because she finally found someone who would drive her to the 1,000 errands that had been built up.
Right.
And so by the time she got home, she realized she was a little bit tired.
Yeah.
And crashed.
So yeah.
So
she sends her apologies and her regards.
Her regards. She's doing well because she went all over town. And as for me, just one of the things that I like more than anything else is working teams. I love working teams. And so I'm having an opportunity to do that in two different ways. One is in the money gathering. I've got a group of people aiding and abetting me in trying to lock money. And one of the most fun things we had was something that I mentioned before, which is we had a scene in part 1 of Space Command that was, fell short for me emotionally.
Yeah.
And
we shot new stuff.
We shot new stuff.
And it's coming out great.
Yeah. And so we shot new stuff to insert into the already shot stuff.
So thanks to David Bartlett and Dave Edison and so forth, and Adam.
And
we had everyone who was part of it. Yeah.
We had a large batch of people, and David is still working on polishing it.
Yeah, he's having a great time.
But it was great to see a scene where, thanks to editing, you can sliver in a whole other character and a whole other subplot.
Yeah, it's great.
And
so
now
malleable.
everybody is
it's great.
It's great. So thanks
and
to
yes, Elaine, you're right. It's a much better. I went in kicking and screaming, but
yeah, we're always right.
Yeah,
so
we got it, but we have now. I think we have a really.
Yeah, Dave. What?
Let's not go that.
Guys.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yes. Hi. Yeah, sure. Do you mind dogs? The little dogs, or?
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. The plumber has just arrived. Hi. The bathroom is right back there. Please feel free to close the door to keep the dogs out.
Oh, yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Because then they'll keep bothering you.
Okay.
Rudy,
yes.
please,
So
Rudy,
we're getting the final polish, and we're all really happy, and it's great to know that there's nothing that you can't fix. Yay. Okay. So I guess that's it for me. That's been absorbing all of my time. Mark, it's your turn.
Okay, I'm coming.
He's coming. So, is there any other? Did anything pop up on the Mr. Sci-Fi?
Yes, we do have one final question.
Okay, I'm coming. Here I am.
Yep. No worries. And it is a Scott Baker question to close this out tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I really enjoyed the Illustrated Man film. Mm-hmm. Were there more stories in the book than in the movie?
Yes.
And what did you think of the film?
There are many more stories in the book, and it was one of Ray's earliest books, 1953. And it's the movie was okay. I remember seeing it when it came out, I think in like 67, something like that. It was well noted because they put fake tattoos all over Rod Steiger's body, and Forrest Ackerman actually had fiberglass mold of Rod Steiger's body that had all of the tattoos on them, so that they could have a guide when they were making him up each day. But I don't remember. It's not one of my favorites, and I don't remember it well, so I don't really want to comment on it beyond that. I love Fahrenheit 451. Can you go? The dogs are dealing with the plumber, but Fahrenheit 451 is a great movie, the one with Oscar Werner, and I highly recommend that. It was directed by Francois Truffaut, came out in 66 or 67. So I guess it's my turn now. Despite the plumber and the dogs and the commotion, things are going great. We're finishing up the first 2 hours of Space Command, visual effects and all that, and we're doing visual effects shots for the third hour. We've started shooting the fourth hour, which is terrific. We have all these very cool set pieces that I've acquired from all these different movies and TV shows, as well as the stuff we built on our own. The studio's up and running. Mr. Sci-Fi is moving along great. We're getting ready for our Twilight Zone Kickstarter campaign, where I'm going to do over 100 audio commentaries of 100 episodes, and that's going to be amazing. I did 52 on the Blu-ray. This is the remaining 104. And so I cannot wait to do that. We're going to launch that in October, that campaign. But you can go to twilightzonecommentary.com and check it out and put in your name for when we do launch. And beyond that, the book is done. And as I mentioned earlier, I got blurbs from Guillermo del Toro and J.J. Abrams and Mark Fergus, who he created and is the showrunner on The Expanse, and Christina Moses, who's our friend who stars in A Million Little Things. And it's very gratifying when people give you blurbs. And beyond that, we're working on the Showrunners Network. We're God, it's just every day is filled with a wide variety of things we're doing. So we're never without interesting things to do. And it's been very fun to watch the edits, the continuing edits of the stuff we shot a week ago, because it's very fun to integrate this new material into that old sequence and before we release it. And which again speaks to the fact that, you know, if you've got concerns about something you've made, that doesn't mean you can't do reshoots or you can't fix it. You know, it's if something's bugging you about your work, fix it if you can, because if it bugs you, it'll bug somebody else, probably a lot of somebody else's. But we're having a great time. We're happy as we could possibly be. And
we got people all over the place working with us.
Yes.
England and Oregon and
Yeah, all over South America, Central America.
Yeah.
We have the Eskimos and igloos doing visual effects shots for us. Everything but actually. But no, life is good. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm forgetting to say. It was it's really fun to be reconnecting with a lot of my friends, the showrunners and so forth, because a lot of them contributed to the book, where I would remember something they told me and I'd email them, like Ron Moore, guys like that, and say, am I getting this right? And every now and then I'd get it right, but usually I'd get some of the details wrong. Not that it would impede the story, but it was great to get the actual specifics before the book came out and was wrong. So that was terrific. And everything is great. I came upon this book, which is interesting. This is a book by Samuel R. Delany about why he writes, and it's about his writing process. And Samuel R. Delany, the great Chip Delany, was one of my teachers at Clarion when I was 19, the Clarion Writers Workshop. So he looked very different from this when I was a student. He was thin, he had dark hair, he was clean shaven, he was very handsome actually, and now he's like 80, and so go figure. But but it has been. So I was thinking of actually writing him and just saying, "Hey, I've had a career since we last spoke, and here it is." But it's fun reading his story about his life and journey, because again, I know his body of work, but I didn't know the specifics of some of his journey. But the fun part is I remembered him telling me something when we were at Clarion, which is. His nickname is Chip Delany. Samuel R. Delany everyone calls him Chip. And I said, well, how did that come about? And he said, well, I always hated the name Sam. And when I was a kid one year, when I was 10, I went to camp and they lined us all up the first day and they went down the line and they asked everyone, each person if they had a nickname, and he said, when they asked if he had a nickname, he said, everyone calls me Chip. And no one did until that moment, but he just wanted to have a nickname and didn't want to be called Sam anymore. And that was the genesis of that nickname. So pretty fun. So there you go. So anything else, guys? I think we've come to the end of our journey for tonight.
I hope so, because the dogs need attention.
The dogs need attention. So great. So we will see you all next time. If you want to help Space Command, contact David Bartlett. And things are cool. Thanks for everything. Thanks for all your interest, and definitely spread the word about Space Command and Mr. Sci-Fi and all of that. And I'm posting every single day a Twilight Zone Minute where I talk about a different Twilight Zone episode on Mr. Sci-Fi. So it's been a lot of fun, and Dave and I have been having a really good time putting those together. So that's it. Thanks a lot, guys. See you next time. Great. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night, everybody. Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Good night.
Bye, and bye, Mr. Sci-Fi friends. Take care. See you next time. Okay.